That's it. All we got is here and now on St. Patrick's Day. And look at you guys showing up on St. Patrick's Day. You know it's not a U.S. holiday. Don't tell anybody. We like to treat it as if it is one. All right. Good morning. Man. So I'm out at 5:30 this morning, and that's the warmest it's going to be all day. And it was like walking in a windstorm. Crazy what we're going through. I think they're dropping to the 50s today. So very good. All right. So before we get started, as the crowd builds, let me get a show of hands. How many of you, or let's get a report actually, type in chat or take yourself off mute and say if you did an open house this weekend and how your traffic was, because I got mixed reviews from the people I talked to. Come on, play the game. Oh, we didn't share the music? Vicky Olson had one open house and one person came. Mike did not do an open house. Two open houses, 0 visitors at both, says Whippa. That's kind of what I'm hearing around the town right now. Brian and I did, and we had only one couple who lived in the neighborhood. That's normal for you. The previous client, they came by to say hi. Did 2 open houses. First open house had 3 groups, no one at the second. 0 Saturday and Sunday. Last weekend, only 1 person. Open house, 1 open house, 1 couple came in. Angie did 3, got a buyer, had 2 come in. None at the second, and 6 couples came to the third. Wow. But you might have gotten a buyer at once. That was worth it. Julie Powell, me too, no one showed. Saturday, no visitors. So that 1 open house, 1 couple came. Last 2 open houses, 0. Huh. That's kind of what I heard from people I talked to this weekend. So let me ask you this question. We're going to get to the topics in a second. Which I need to do this. My question would be, what are we doing to drive traffic to our open houses? And this is a loaded question. The 2 open houses. First open had 3 groups, no one at the second. Good job, Susie. Alicia, last weekend, only 1 person, 0 Saturday and Sunday. Ooh. To read. Could be spring break. Good point, Lauren. It starts this week, I believe. And that was our question, Jimmy. How do you promote your open house? I actually have an email for that, which I'll reference a couple times today. But I need to share my screen. Let's share this one. Let's go down here. So here's an idea for you. Whether you're holding your open house or not, when you log into Moxie, look at all the media that's been created for you. Social media posts, just listen posts, paid social ads, Instagram, e-postcards, postcards, flyers, brochures, single property websites, videos, virtual tours. Now, you know from watching Jimmy that you can claim any listing in the brokerages as yours. It's polite to ask the other agent if they mind, but who's going to mind that, right? So if you did this and you promoted it to your database and said, hey, I'm holding this open house on Saturday from 11 to 1. If you know anybody or want to come by and see me, come by and say hi. Would that make it maybe better or maybe worse? What do you think? Or could you print out a flyer, which is my favorite, and go door to door around the neighborhood and say, hey, I'm holding an open house. Who do you know is moving to the area? No. How about you? When do you plan on moving? Right? That's kind of the effort that has to go behind. And this way you can turn a nothing event into a something event just because. By the way, am I sharing that Moxie screen? Yes, perfect. And Jimmy's got a whole open house video on how you can do that, which he put a link in the chat. So open that link and then close it, or no, don't close, but come back to the Zoom screen so you can look at it later. Yeah, the 5, 5, and 10s, or the 10, 10, and 20s, or just going door to door talking about it. Right, I heard yes, you see it, and the next thing you know, you don't. What is my inbox? Right. Hmm. Maybe move it back to the main screen here so we see what we're doing. Okay. So let me share again to the main screen. All right, now we should have the boxes. That's okay. That's one. All right, so you got all this digital media created for you. Create a flyer, go door knocking, get a postcard made. Sometimes it costs a little bit of money, right? And there you go. Okay, so the crowd is built. Let's start into the agenda, which is down here. Sorry, I'm busy. All right, so the biggest question I'm getting from agents right now is, oh my God, and from managers from hearing the same questions. Craig, what's going on? My listings aren't getting showings, and they're not selling. My inventory is growing. I'm spending a ton of money. My listings are coming up to expiration, and oh my God, what do we do? Now, I just want to tell you, this is not uncommon. This is like normal real estate. We just haven't been into a normal real estate market in a long time. Right. So I made a list of 10 things that we need to talk about. Right. Price your home competitively. I couldn't be more um, stressing on this. Right. Use your Moxie presentation. You know, I've helped different people do different things, and they often share their spas with me. And if you just look at the price on a piece of paper, you see this house is 300 and this one's 285. But when you go inside and look at the photographs, you find out that the 300 has not been updated and the 285 has been totally updated. Flooring matches, new countertops, new cabinets, new everything. But the 300 has mixed flooring, original stuff. It makes a big difference when you actually show the customer. So does it take more time? Yes. But if you're the most aggressive price on the property, on the market, you're going to be the next one to sell. But it's going to take more time and effort with the seller. And I think the Moxie Spa tool or CMA tool is a great way to do it because it actually lets them take a look at the inside with you, right? And I think you need to guide them through it either via Zoom or in person. And say, let's look at this one, click on this. That you have to learn how to navigate it. And so do you. That's one of the skills you have to learn, right? And I want you to pay special attention to builder promotions, rate buy downs, and closing cost incentives. Take a look at this. This is Homes by West Bay, right? Nice builder, limited time offer only, special pricing on extraordinary homes. Select quick move-in homes include price improvements up to $112,000. So you're looking at a builder property that's on your spa or your CMA, and all the houses are 485, but this one's got a $112,000 incentive. Wow. So you save 112,000, 105,000 on this home, 85,000 on this home. If you're not sharing this with the seller, was 780, now 694. That's your strike price. You can't use 785 in your CMA because that's not the price. This builder is going to steal the next buyer that comes around, right? This one was $1 million, now it's 934. It was $1.2 million, now it's $1.1 million. Still a high price, right? But if you're doing business in Lithia in that price range, you need to use these comps here, not the big ones, because you got to pay attention to these flyers as they come out. Look at this one. Fresh start sales event, new lower rate of 3.99% plus all closing cost. I don't have my calculator ready to operate right now, but if I'm paying 6.65% for my resale home and the builders offer me a rate of 3.99 for the brand new home, and they're going to pay all my closing costs, and on the resale, I could pay my closing costs. what happened to the value of the resale? This is why you have to pay attention, because at the bottom of this, it says offer available on select inventory homes through Park Square Home Mortgage. So you got to use their mortgage company, which is what they're doing, right? They're charging points in the package and they're paying your closing costs, but they're paying the closing costs themselves. So there's some games being played. But in the end, if I've got a 6.69% interest rate and say my payment is 4,400 a month, and they lower me to 399 and my payment drops to $4,000 a month, I'm saving $400 a month. That's $4,800 a year. Average person lives in their home for 10 years. That's a $48,000 savings. Huge, huge, huge. So number one is price your home competitively, and please pay special attention to builder promotions. I know we get inundated with them in our emails because you're on everybody's list, but read them at least. And if it's in a market that you work in, or you have listings in, or you plan to get listings in, or you're working with buyers in, pay attention to them. Maybe put them in a folder, right? And then take them with you or PDF them and put them into your Moxie presentation. May customize it for that consumer and say, look what the builders are doing. It's going to drive prices down, what these guys are doing. And if we stay up here and the builders are bringing them down here, they're going to sell and we're not. So number one, this one came across my desk this weekend. Improve your curb appeal. And that means really clean it in and out. I heard agents were showing up at open houses and the sellers had dirty pots on the stove, dirty dishes in the sink, roaches on the floor. I mean, that's just no way to present a home, right? So it says improve your curb appeal, but I mean inside and out, right? I looked at some houses that came on the market on the way in and out of my neighborhood, and I'm like, oh my God, for $3,000, which is a lot of money for some people, but for three, it's cheaper than a $20,000 price reduction. For $3,000, replace the sod, put some palm trees in. You buy a nice palm tree for $125. Put some hedges in, some hibiscus bushes, some bougainvillea, something like that to add some color and vibrancy to the house and make it look nice, right? Because we're asking a lot of money for these homes now. And if they're not improved on the outside, it's hard, right? Because what's the new home? What are the new homes looking like? They got landscaping packages, right? Landscaping is neat and trimmed and tidy. They have sprinkler systems in most cases. Their grass is green. It makes a big difference. So if your house isn't selling, number one, price it competitively. Number two, make sure you improve your curb appeal inside and out. And that means it's not your job to clean the house. That means you have a conversation with the seller and you stress the importance of how they have to keep the house neat and clean for all showings. I'm also hearing on a side note, we have some sellers that are like refusing showings. If showings are so scarce, we can't afford to lose any showings. So they're going to be ready at the drop of a hat because when one comes, it's coming. And we want to make sure we get it because if we don't get it, then we're in trouble. Okay. So number three, stage your home. This was cool. Joe Brown in South Tampa shot a video. And this week's video was he showed three of his listings off. And one of the houses, or two of the houses, I think it was, in particular, were vacant. And they showed weird. And this one house he made a great example of, it was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, but the sellers knocked down a wall. And so you had a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house. But the master bedroom was weird. It's like an L-shaped room. And Joe said, how do you make that work? So he went to an app called Brownie Box and he virtually staged the room himself. Said it cost $24 a photo, but it took him hours to do it. Right. But we have photographers that will virtually stage your houses for you. They're probably better at it. I think they charge $35 a picture to stage them. So consider if you have a vacant house, virtually staging it with nice furniture so it looks fancy, but be sure you identify that it is virtually staged. You can't mislead them. They can't show them this gorgeous model and they walk in and go, blah, what happened? Because their expectations are automatically lowered. Boom. right? So virtual or real staging. Real staging is quite expensive though. Mostly have the house clean and clear of debris, no roaches. I said that already, seller's responsibility. All right, number 4. I think it's 4. Yep. Use high quality photos. As I browse the MLS and I see things, I can't believe what some people put out there. It's just not good. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. And if you're not using Zillow Showcase, find a way to use it. Charge more, get the seller to pay for it up front and reimburse them at closing. I know the photographs cost more, that whole thing, but there's so showcases. Go to Zillow and look and just pick a zip code and see how many showcase listings there are. And then look at the stats of the showcase versus the non-showcase. And they don't compare. So if you're not getting showings, then maybe you're not featuring it well enough, posturing it well enough in the market. So think about that too. Add Zillow Showcase and use high quality photographs, 3D tours, all the different things you can do. And I spend time talking to Zillow because Zillow is the most highly trafficked site out there, right? And MLS makes it different too, because you as realtors are looking at the houses and you got your agents on MLS searches, whether it's through Century 21 or through MLS. And the customers are seeing the MLS photos too. So can't lose ground there. And if you don't have them, offer to pay for one to get the extension, because if listings aren't selling in the time frame you're listing them in, number one, you got to list them for a longer period of time. And number two, you got to ask for price listing extensions if they're not selling. So the more you do up front, the more you do. My uncle in Denver just listed his house and he was just bragging on and on. He hired this team of 3 women who do most of the sales in the neighborhood. And he said, it just so blown away. The effort, the marketing package, the presentation. And I said, what did you do with the commission? Did you beat them down? He goes, hell no. He says, if they do what they say they're going to do, they deserve every penny they're going to get. And this is kind of a cheapskate guy, right? But that's a seller who says, I need to sell my house and I want a professional to do it. And these ladies are professional. And this is going to be like a $400,000 commission, right? And he's paying a 6% commission on a $7 million house without complaining. Okay, when we talk about listings not getting showings, write a compelling listing description. This is always hard. It's always been hard for me because I'm not that creative when it comes to writing. But when you use ChatGPT and tell it what to include in the description, it'll write something. And then if you don't like what it sounds like, you can tell it, make it more calculating, make it more DIS or C, make it more VAK, or add some visual auditory kinesthetic words in there. It'll just keep writing it until you like what it says. And if not, just copy it, paste it, and make the edits yourself, but take a shot. But make sure you have a compelling listing description that makes somebody want to call, right? And then I wrote down, promote your listing online. And if you don't have listings, use someone else's. All right. So part of our job, which we haven't had to do before, right? We used to kind of put it on the MLS and it got distributed all the websites and people called on it. But now we're not getting people calling on us. So we're going to try different distribution channels, right? So every listing that we have as a company, yours and somebody else's, if you're using theirs, you have access to pre-made templates so you can market it. So how do you do that? Send it to your database as a minimum. There are paid ads. You can buy ads on Google. You can do different things like that to get attention to your listing, because the more attention you get, the more chances you have for a showing, right? This sounds kind of basic, but we have to go back to basics when the market's acting like it's like it's acting right now, right? So see the Moxie pre-made templates, already showed those. Okay. We talk about open houses. They're not getting much traffic now. So if an open house is not getting that much traffic, what do you have to do a better job of? The answer would be promoting the event. Yeah, Jimmy says, please make sure when using ChatGPT to give some really good info, not just putting in beds, baths, and size is not enough. Add the best features of the property and let your ChatGPT help with getting your thoughts together. That's all it's doing. It's helping you. It's not doing your job for you. I was talking to somebody else says, yeah. Somebody was saying, yeah, I'm using Chat. Stop using ChatGPT, just use your brain. That's not a true statement. Your brain is required to tell ChatGPT or any AI program what to do. If you don't tell it what to do, it's not going to know what to do. So you're still using your brain. You're just being more efficient with your time. Yeah, you got to help the chat for sure. The more you tell it, the better it will be, 100%. Definitely read it before posting it for sure. You got to correct it and edit it, make it you. Yeah, some listing photos really bad. And imagine what the seller says when they see those. There you go. Lauren says she's an excellent stager. Darlene, which email? The one for the builders or my notes here? I'll price them both. I think you mean traffic, Mike. Yeah, builders generally have continuous traffic, but I did read a stat the other day that over 60% of builder traffic is realtor driven. Angie brought a good point. Be sure to ask the seller what they love about living there and incorporate that feeling into the description. There you go. Okay, so promote your listing online, and if you don't have listings, use somebody else's. So hopefully you guys are building a database with Instagram, you're building a database with Facebook, you're building a database with LinkedIn. Start posting your listings on those sites to get them more attention. Monster puppy. So we haven't had to do much self-promotion of our listings lately, but if the market's acting like it's acting, we're going to start doing more promotion to get more attention. Because more attention, more showings. Hope post open houses, but promote the message out. We already talked about that. So that means we talked about it. Knocking on doors, telling the neighbors, posting on social that you're going to be there from this time to this time. Oh, I didn't put this down, but signage, critically important. You can't just put a sign out front. You got to put a sign with traffic directing it to see what's going on. And there's a lot of open houses going on right now. I see them as I drive around. Okay, spend a little time on this one. Be responsive to inquiries. Oh my gosh, it's such a pain in the butt. But there's no reason, because when you get an inquiry from any of these websites, it comes into Moxie or Leads Engine, and Leads Engine phones you and leaves you a voice message. Then Leads Engine sends you a text that you've got a message, and it's the details are in your email. So you get a voicemail, an SMS text, and an email. So, and then it tells you how much time has gone by since the lead came in and when you called back. So when do you think is the best time to call them? As soon as possible, or maybe after they move on to the next event or the next house on the listing or the next house on the list? No question. The faster you get them, the faster, the more chance you have of catching them. I'm playing that game with the leads that I'm getting, and if I pick it up right away, I generally get them. If I wait 5 or 10 minutes, they move on to something else and I miss them. So I got to leave a voicemail, send a text, send an email. But I'd much rather have a phone conversation with them and find out what's going on, and then follow up with a text and an email so they know what they're getting. So if you want more showings, be more responsive to your inquiries, because you'll get more inquiries. I can't stress that one enough. And then add them to your, or categorize them in Moxie. So add them to Moxie if they're not in Moxie already, but when they come in through Leads Engine, it automatically puts them in Moxie for you. So it's really cool, because I'll go to type in email and their name will already be there because they're in my database, and my database is tied into Moxie. So, or my Gmail is tied into Moxie, right? Or categorize them. So you might have a category in Moxie for open house guests, or if you got listings in different parts of town, you might have a list for leads in Brandon, leads in South Shore, leads in Bel Air, leads in Orlando, leads in wherever you're getting leads. So when you start doing some marketing, when you get a new listing you want to promote, you can just send it to a relative group rather than a whole group that's not interested. because then you get less unsubscribes if you pay a little attention. But all this is extra work on our part, but the payoff is pretty good for us when we get there. Negotiate effectively. Oh, when we get an offer, it generally means the person is interested in the home, right? In a market where we don't have much interest, just because you get an offer, I hear this, well, I got a low ball offer. No, you got a market offer. You got the buyer believes the house is worth that, right? The seller might not agree with them, in which case you counter offer. Please don't discount any offer as a low ball offer. In today's market, we are all complaining. We're not getting showings over listings. They're not selling. Open houses aren't getting traffic. So when you get an offer, that offer is gold, right? Treat it like we used to call a little blue bird in the hand, right? Be nice to that bird. You don't squish it and say, get out of here, you low baller. No, you be nice to the bird and make it, be kind, right? They took the time to write the offer. You owe the time to present it and counter it or accept it. And let's say it might be less than the seller wants, but when you evaluate, especially against the builder inventory, it's really not that bad of an offer. And the seller doesn't tell you all the time their real motivation for why they're moving. So when you give them the opportunity to, you present, show them the facts, update your market analysis, and then shut up. Sorry for the direct words. Then shut up. Let them think, let them talk. Let them explode or implode or whatever they're going to do. But it's their choice and they'll think about it. And don't pressure them for an answer right now. And let's not give them too much time to think either. I heard somebody the other day gave somebody 11 days for time for acceptance. That's just dangerous. Why is that dangerous? Because the offer is out there. And at any time they could sign it and it becomes a contract. And let's say you got another offer in that 11-day period and the seller likes that offer and they sign it. And then the buyer number one signs theirs too. Now you got sold the house twice. That's a huge problem, right? So monitor your critical dates. Time for effectiveness or time for acceptance is a critical date. So keep that at 2 to 3 days at the most. And that's all they need to make their decision. Last point we're going to talk about today is get a home inspection, especially when the house is older, right? And I'm talking spend a little bit of money on a home inspection, like have a real plumber come out and scope the lines and then have a report saying, look, I've scoped the lines, the plumbing's good on this house. Anything you can do to take away the fear of a buyer in that particular property will help you get more business, right? So, and I'm asking you to pay for this. The seller should pay for it, right? They get a home inspection. We do a 4-point at a minimum because we don't have these problems later on. But if it's an older home, check out I just had my house reinsured and the insurance company's Frontline. And so an inspector called to say, hey, I'm with Frontline. They want an inspection of your home. So we set an appointment. The guy came out and he basically did a 4-point inspection. He took pictures of my air handlers. He took pictures of all my plumbing, some connections to my toilets, took pictures of all my under my cabinet plumbing. He was checking to make sure the pipes were all, in my house, they're all CPVC, but he's checking for copper plumbing. He's checking for polybutylene because the insurance company saying, hey, I want to know. He didn't go up on the roof, but he checked all the windows. He did everything that a 4-point inspector would do and more, because that was just what the insurance company wanted. So you're going to run into these challenges. So in the advance, if you're not getting activity, any activity you do get, you want to impress. And if you do, like Ray Monahan does, he's got a book, and we've talked about this. He's got a book open on the counter. So when you come into the property, if you're interested in it, the seller's disclosure is there. Sellers disclosed everything they know to be wrong with the house. Anything that was repaired, there's a receipt for. And then there's a specialized report if there's something special that had to be looked at. There's a thing identifying the age of the roof or a flyer with all the features and benefits and repairs that have been done, upgrades to the house. All that type of stuff makes a big, big difference. So when you guys ask me, what do I do? My house isn't selling. Well, here's a list of 10 things that we should spend time making sure that our houses are as attractive as they can be. I'm waiting for an answer on VA assumability. So when I get that, we'll talk about that another day. but I'm starting to see some of those coming up in the market. What I know so far is there's two different types. It's veteran to veteran or veteran to non-veteran. Non-vets can assume a VA loan, but I'm pretty sure the VA borrower stays on the hook for at least a period of time. But if it's veteran to veteran, they can transfer their VA eligibility. I'm sorry, their VA eligibility stays on that house, which means they can't buy another one. But if there's vet to vet, they can trade VA eligibility, but wait for the answer on that one. So I'll take this one off the list for now. I can't, this is in an editable form. All right. So there's 10 things. So the question is, Greg, Mike, Jimmy, Chris, Kat, Rachel, what's going on? My listings aren't getting showings. They're not getting offers. What can I do? Ask yourself, rate yourself on these 10 points. And if you're not at 10, do everything you can to get as close to 10 as you can. And then watch. Things will happen better in your favor because you'll have one of the, I like to say, prettiest girls at the dance, right? Your house has to look really good. And some houses just ugly. My favorite is improve your curb appeal. If there's some ugly houses that have ugly landscaping, spend a little money and make it look prettier. Your sign calls are probably your best lead sources. And if the house isn't pretty, you're not going to get many sign calls. And if you do, they're going to be from people that want to bottom feed because it looks like nobody's taking care of the house. So that's all I got today. Real life real estate. Happy Monday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Be safe today. Don't drink too much green beer. And we will see you at sales meeting tomorrow. Happy Monday. My last listing was a sunrise view. We printed a photo of the sunrise and staged on the counter with a coffee mug and a listing. Nice, good idea. You're welcome. Oh, Stephanie, great point. Another underrated way to help your listings to attend the showing. Your seller has told you all the fun details. The buyer's agent doesn't know these. You can demonstrate the features and benefits of the house when you're there. If you're not there, you can't. You're leaving it up to them. Yeah. So Lauren said I had one of my upcoming listings that I first met with to do a pre-listing inspection, and they're slowly getting everything in order and shape to hit the market in a month or so. Because you could never get a second chance. Mike, good point. You could offer a home warranty. I didn't put that on the list. Cool. That's how we do it in the Keys. Both agents are at every showing. Yeah. Nice average sales price too. All right. Thank you, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy St. Patrick's Day.